Here.
Ms. McFerrin?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Here.
Mr. Furey?
Here.
Mr. Scaffide?
Here. Okay. Join Mr. Scaffide in the pledge and invocation.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussions, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect all of our residents and businesses and our dedicated city employees. Bless those away from us serving to protect our country. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we add, after we excuse the absent members, we add an executive session to discuss personnel and pending legal matters.
I'll second that.
Mr. Scaffide seconds that. Shannon, please call roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, passes 7-0. We will have an executive session later this evening. Okay, this time, the next agenda item is the approval of the minutes from the December 11th, 2018 meeting. Is there any changes, additions? Anybody have anything that they'd like to add? Okay. With that, Shannon, call the roll, or however we want to do this to approve the minutes.
Either need a motion to do that?
Okay, let's
make a
motion
motion.
to approve the minutes.
Anybody
I'll second it.
Okay.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffide?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
We don't have any awards or presentations scheduled for tonight. Next on the agenda is audience participation.
Yes. First, we have Lauren Sunsack.
Start my 2 minutes until I'm ready. I'm going to read this evening. Again, thank you, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity to speak. After reading an article indicating the Mayor and Council are considering increasing the bond anticipation notes outstanding from $6.138 million to $7.25 million, which is an 18% increase, my curiosity found me reading the entire Ordinance 122-2018 over the holidays, and yes, I have no life. Having spent most of my professional career in government finance, land development, land use planning, and zoning, with considerable expertise in areas of government finance and issuance of debt for various government projects, I'm going to offer some criticisms and some possible solutions to the city. First, a criticism. Reading Ordinance 122-2018, the city appears to be attempting to use our city charter provision for placing unvoted property tax millage on our property owners of Twinsburg without informing the public of your intentions outlined in that ordinance, which I believe is fiscally reckless. Including a section of this nature in any city charter represents the full faith and trust of we as taxpayers in our elected officials to use such a golden parachute for financing with very great discretion and only in times of maybe natural disasters or true fiscal emergencies. And I'm talking tornadoes, flooding, things like Xenia, Ohio, witnessed 25 years ago. Certainly no one with really good common sense would consider using an emergency funding clause for anything such as a golf clubhouse, restaurant, or banquet facility. And that's exactly what I believe you're trying to do in Ordinance 122-2018. Now there are several options to consider while you have time to do that, and that would be revenue bonds, which could be used for an enterprise business fund such as the golf course fund, Or you can consider just general obligation debts, which are just pledging the full faith and credit of the city without putting a tax levy on our property without a vote, is just not reasonable in my opinion. Your first choice in this instance, in my opinion, should be your last resort, not your first choice. In my experience, sometimes our cities are so determined to do some project that they could do that they don't often stop often enough to see whether or not they should do it. My experience tells me that when any government attempts to sidestep the voters or not involve the voters in putting taxes on their property, it's not always a good thing, and I don't believe it works out well. This ordinance is a good example of not informing the public of what we need to know, and even considering adding this additional $1 million plus $500,000 in interest, which more than likely you're going to transfer back from the general fund in the future to the golf course fund. It just is not really good. And I say that in this respect, that over the last 10 years, the golf course fund has received approximately $7.5 million, not just the general fund, but the escrow development fund, and also there was another fund, the sewer tap fund. In my experience on government financing, hope is not really a reliable financial plan, except postponing the inevitable financial failure of the project. If anyone here would bother to do a 5 or 10 pro forma on that golf course fund, I think you're going to find that it's going to just be a real financial boondoggle for the city. As a concerned citizen and active citizen of Twinsburg, I feel compelled to expose these things because I didn't read anywhere in the paper, I saw nothing in the council, that you were going to invoke the Section 601 of the charter and even consider putting any kind of property taxes on the people here without a vote to pay for this debt issuance. Considering that our mayor and city council are actually using the public purse to both finance and compete against the businesses of Twinsburg's at tax-exempt rates is unimaginable to me. I really think you need to reconsider that. Your deficit spending of the city's cash reserves in the last 4 years amounts to right around $15–20 million, and has placed you in our financial security as a city in jeopardy, put the city on a path of fiscal crisis. Your total cost of this project, the principal, interest, and if demonstrated by current operations, and could be as much as $10 to $12 million additional dollars from your general fund over 20-some years, could amount to $20 to $25 million. It's a hell of a lot more money than $6.2 million that's been bandied around. You seriously need to look at some options. Even an area to consider would be privatization through a service contract of the private sector to operate that restaurant banquet facility and get that you're just hemorrhaging money. I mean, you lost 150 grand in 3–4 months. It just doesn't look right. I am going to leave with the council a copy of my presentation here, as well as, and I don't do this on 5 minutes, as a public service announcement, as an ACT member, of which Ms. Gadosh is the statutory agent. As a retired finance director, I prepare financial analysis and forecasts. Maybe they'll be useful to the finance director. They're available online at activecitizens@twinsburg.com. If you'd like to make copies of them, Shannon, to share with council, and that's up to you guys. But anyway, thank you for your time.
Mr. Senstein. Mr. Senstein.
Yes.
Can you name and address into the microphone, please?
I'm sorry. Sorry, I figure you guys, there's not too many. I mean, you gotta admit, I mean, seriously, I mean, I didn't get this far in life just by looking good, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Lauren Singstock, 2704 Harbor Glen Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Next, we have Deborah Sutobeck.
Good evening. I am here to talk tonight about the current wildlife management program in the city of Twinsburg.
Name and address, ma'am.
2652 Post Road, 39 years. The city currently has a wildlife management program that was created in 2004. It has not been updated since that time, so we have been operating on a program that is over 15 years old. I just want to talk tonight about the wildlife part. I don't want to talk about sharpshooters or live trapping. The program was developed because of the white deer population. 15 years ago, Twinsburg looked a lot different than it does today. I'm requesting the council review the existing document and evaluate contracting a new study to determine whether or not we need this hunting program. Is everyone aware that we have a hunting program from September 29th till February 3rd? That you can hunt white-tailed deer.
Talking about the
Yeah.
residential boat
With bar,
season?
okay, so
Are you
the
talking
reason
about
I'm here, I'm not here to debate whether or
The
not,
residential boat season or the metro?
this is a bow.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not here to debate whether or not hunting's good or bad. That's the
Okay.
good news. Why my interest in this? Back in early November, it came to my attention that my neighbor, it's a rental property, and someone new moved in from out of state, was there 2 months, and obtained a permit that allowed hunting on his property on Post Road. I was mortified that someone could move here and know nothing about the landscape. I know that kids cut through our yards from Post Road to get to Overlook. We have always let the kids on Overlook, Firelands, play in our woods. I mean, woods are just very attractive to children. The fact that these kids can look up and see someone in a deer stand with a bow and arrow, I couldn't believe that it had happened. I was uncomfortable going in my own yard, knowing that someone was over there. And I became more concerned when I started to look into the process. The current process allows a hunter to send in or drop off an application. It doesn't require a signature. They're not signing for anything. If you don't own the property, there's no letter saying that I authorized you. In my case, the neighbor had printed the name. There's no background check. There's no proof of liability insurance required. There's no age limit on hunters. A junior hunter can hunt in Twinsburg. And more importantly, previously there was an archery proficiency test required. It was eliminated. So there's no proficiency. They do have to require the ODNR licenses to hunt and deer. However, they're not kept on file in Twinsburg. I don't even know if they're reviewed. Okay, so per this program that we have, which you can find on your website, it required a yearly evaluation of the program. Back in 2004, the first year goal was to reduce motor vehicle accidents by 5%. Does anybody know the results? I can tell you, Chief Noga has confirmed to me that there has not been a plan in place for over 5 years. So we have this program where we arbitrarily issue hunting permits. It's currently 27 hunters in Twinsburg at 23 different locations in Twinsburg. You're allowed to go and hunt. I guess my question is, what is this program about now? Are there any objectives? What is our objective? Do we want to reduce motor vehicle accidents? Do we want to eliminate the deer population? 10%? 20%? Do we just want to get rid of the white-tailed deer?
1 minute.
Thank you. I have been working with Detective Brian Donato, who's been very helpful. He manages a program. What a poor waste of time and talent to have a detective managing this program. The program is being managed from a desk also. Very little field work. It is required that he go out and make an appointment and observe the stand. That's not being done. At least it was not done with my neighbors. I can tell you that the Post Road, my neighbor's permit was revoked by Chief Noga. If you want to continue issuing hunting permits, I'd like to request the additional signed application by the homeowner and the hunter agreeing to the rules, that they be over 18 and be a Twinsburg resident, that they provide copies of their state and deer permits to be kept on file in the city, to increase the minimum property size to 10 acres, providing that it does not abut a residential area. We don't need hunting in residential areas. The hunter should supply a copy of the declaration page of their homeowners association, their homeowners insurance. demonstrating personal liability of $100,000 or greater, written permission from the owner, property owner if they don't own the property, not his name penciled in. And also transparency, notification to the adjoining property owners that there is active hunting going on at your neighbors. Proof of passing an archery proficiency test, and a listing on the city website of active hunting areas. Okay, any questions? Oh, I do want to add, the city of Solon does not have a wildlife program similar to this. The city of Aurora does have one, but you need 8 acres. Macedonia does not have one. So I don't know at this point if this is really necessary.
Can you send me everything that you brought up?
Yeah.
So we can look it over, please?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
There is none.
Okay, that's it. Okay, next is on the council communication committee reports. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, sir. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Only one of my committees has met, and it was the Planning Commission. We were actually here last evening, and we took a look at the preliminary site plan and granted approval for Good Shepherd Church at 9571 Shepherd Road. They're proposing a building addition, and the Planning Commission had no objections other than approval of a parking, the number of parking spaces permitted, and we're pending some results from engineering on stormwater detention of that site. The final site plan for the Pepsi Beverage Company at 1999 Enterprise Parkway was approved for a building addition. It's basically going to be a large walk-in cooler where they're going to store orange juice. So that was approved 4-0 by the Planning Commission as well. And the Connecting Communities Planning Study, the first mile, last mile program that some of us have read about in the paper, was approved by the Planning Commission, as well as some of the amendments that was sent back to the planners for some review. That has come back, and the Planning Commission is very satisfied with the results of that study. So those are some things that I'm sure they will be forwarding to this legislative body for our review. Other than that, our next meeting for the Planning Commission will be February 4th at 7 p.m. here in Council Chambers. And one of the things that we're discussing will be the British Petroleum, the BP on 82. There's a redevelopment plan that is going to be proposed at that meeting as well. So that should be interesting, since that site could definitely use a freshening up. And the next meeting of the Environmental Commission is the following evening, February 5th at 7 o'clock here in Council Chambers. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Bellin.
Good evening. Happy New Year. I hope everyone have a happy, safe holiday season, and your 2019 is off to a great start. The ARB met on Thursday, January 3rd. I was not able to attend as I was on a family vacation that was planned before I was appointed to the committee. I'd like to thank Mr. Furey for attending in my absence, and he will report on that here shortly. The next Architectural Review Board meeting will be held on Thursday, January 17th, 6 p.m. right here in Council Chambers. The next Golf Advisory Board meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 15th at 6:30 p.m. here in Council Chambers. And nothing for this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Stauffer.
My committees have not met, and I don't believe they're meeting in the month of January, so it's a quiet month.
Okay. Mr. Scaffide.
Thank you very much. Good evening. The Board of Zoning Appeals will be meeting tomorrow night, actually, the 9th of January, here in the council chambers at 6:30. So the next meeting I'll have more to report on that. And our next Finance Committee meeting will be on the 22nd. I believe it's at 5:30. Did we change that to 5:30? At 5:30. So that's all I have this evening, too. Thank you. Happy New Year to all. Hope all the holidays were good. And I look forward to a good, productive year with the mayor and council this year, working together for you, our residents, and for our community. Thank you.
Ms. McFerrin.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Mr. Furey.
Thank you and good evening. I did attend the Architecture Review Board meeting of January 3rd. On the agenda that night were two cases for the property at 10735 Ravenna Road with rush hour for signage. We're doing some additional signage, some additional lighting, changing some of the rules of the plaza lighting to update them. They also had the Pepsi bottle is looking for an addition to put a refrigerated building behind there to be able to store orange juice for additional distribution in this area. It'll be new to them. All three cases, 01, 02, and 03, passed unanimously. As Mr. Belland said, the next meeting's on Thursday, the 22nd at 6:30, and Mr. Scafidi's already talked about the finance meeting, so that's all I have.
Okay.
I know he's no longer here, but I would like to respond to Mr. Sedstock, some of his comments. You know, I thought I heard that he inferred that there was going to be a property tax that was going to pay for the clubhouse. So I might have misunderstood what he said. There's no property tax involved with the financing of the clubhouse. Right now, we have an interest-only bond that we're having. We had a discussion previously of whether we were going to take out any money that we used from the line of credit that exceeded some money from the general fund, whether we would pay that back or put that onto a long-term debt. But we are talking about a 20 to 25-year bond agreement for city financing, which is often used to build buildings. This isn't a new project. It's been in discussions for 20 years, and it shouldn't have been a surprise that it happened because it's been very public for the last 3 to 4 years. So I just want to make sure that there's no property tax being instituted or voted on by council to support the clubhouse. We're doing an interest-only loan currently, and we will go to a long-term debt assignment with bonds as we have the entity up and running and get the revenues from the restaurant that's doing very well, the golf carts that we now own and operate and get the revenue back, as well as the banquet facility, which is a year-round operation versus the 8-month program we had previously. So, thank you. That's all I have.
And I just might as well jump on that a little bit. So, Mr. Sengstock was talking about reading through the ordinance, which if you do have a lot of free time and would like to do that, you can. But they're written in a very specific way. We have bond counsel and we have to have a bond advisor. So it's a very technical process for a municipality to issue the short-term bans, the bond anticipation notes, as well as long-term debt. So they are written in a certain way, and a provision that he picked out does discuss a backup of property tax in case there's a failing. However, that's in a standard form that's written when all these notes are issued, and it's something that we don't select or choose or try to put into a legislation. It's something that's required by statute and required by our attorney and our bond advisor. So I just wanted to
but it's not an additional tax.
No,
it's
no.
if
It is
we
not.
defaulted on the
Section 9
loan,
is
there
what
would
he's referring to in the...
Correct.
So
Yeah.
again, there's no property tax being put in place to collect money from residents to pay for a clubhouse.
And I remember this specifically because I actually read the whole ordinance when we first did our ban, and I brought up the same subject and was told the exact same thing. So you can go from there.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. I was gonna.
You ready to jump to me now anyway?
No, I was gonna say what you were gonna say, that was his concern in section 9, and I asked, I think I asked in the council meeting way back when, what that section meant. And it was a backup that if we were to default, they had a way to collect.
It basically states, if I may, Mr. Steele, the proceeds of said levy would be placed in a bond retirement fund, which is irrevocably pledged for the payment of the debt charges on the notes or the bonds.
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera. So, to
Go-
the mayor's point, it
But
is...
go to the second paragraph.
Right.
The second paragraph says, unless we don't pay it, we don't
Right.
assess it. And that's the important core word.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. The only thing I have on committees is the Finance Committee will be meeting on the 22nd at 5:30, and I will be there. Next, on to the mayor's report.
right, good evening, everyone. It's good to be back. Hope everyone had a great Christmas, New Year's. Just a couple things. So just these are things going on in the city. Service-wise, we do have a tree drop-off that's going on up at Liberty Park. So as your Christmas trees, now that the Orthodox Christmas is done and trees are drying up, feel free to take them up there and drop them off, and we'll get rid of them for you. Second, leaf pickup is continuing. I think the exact moment that I sent out an email to council about neighborhoods we're going to be in today, we had hail and pouring rain, which probably slowed down our leaf pickup today. But we will continue that. The weather's been good today. I know we're supposed to get snow tonight, but and then branches also. We can do branches in inclement weather. The leaves get a little more tricky, but we are working through. I've been communicating with residents that have been emailing me, and we've been getting to those neighborhoods, but we are still working through that. Route 91 has been off for a week or so. We'll be starting back up, so just drive through that area with caution with the construction going on, especially as we start getting snow and things happening weather-wise that we're anticipating over the next few days. And then lastly, if you're planning ahead, my State of the City will be on February 14th on Valentine's Day, and it will be at the Banquet Center at the new clubhouse this year. The Chamber hosts that, so it is open for residents. It's a breakfast, and you can contact the Chamber for tickets to that. And then other than that, that is all I have, but we do have some reports this evening. Russ, you want to start? You were the first one that looked up, so I thought.
Oh, good. I'll do it all the time. Evening, everybody. Good evening. All right. Construction activity for 2018. My office saw 1,265 application plan reviews, which in turn provided we had to do 1,940 inspections. And our income for 2018 was $262,000. Compared to 2017, we did 1,138 application reviews, and we did 2,875 inspections, and we had an income of $718,000. We issued 10 single-family for the year of 2018, about 2.8 in construction cost, and we did 51 in 2017 with a construction cost of $15.8 million. Continue donation boxes, pursuing the enforcement of the ordinance. I see a smile on your face there, Sam. Right now, I am putting together what would be called a correction order. Everybody's been notified. I've received one application so far, and that's for the Shepherd Church down here on Ravenna Road. But I am pursuing now to do more enforcement with the correction order that will be handed out sometime next week. And how I'll pursue after that, that's one step at a time, so I'll let you know. Update on Spring Ridge, the grading issue. I'm going to be meeting with Mr. Maestros tomorrow morning to kind of discuss how I'll pursue the expired certificate of occupancy. It's new to me, so I'll be talking to Mr. Maestro about that tomorrow morning. And like Mr. Scaffide said, there is a BZA meeting tomorrow night. The residents looking for leniency on accessory building exceeding 140 square feet and 12 foot in height. And one last thing is Dennis advised me, Dennis Cabal has been following up on the double poles. He is totally done with Glenwood Acres. He is slowly providing information to Edison and Windstream so they're not overwhelmed, and then they'll take care of their process, notifying whoever else is on that. So the process of being notifications in the works. And if there's nothing else, any questions, that ends my report.
Russ, I have a question. The entrance to Ethan's Green that's under construction, that area there, there's no lights in that whole, almost the first 4 lights are out. Is that due to the construction, or should I notify?
Street lights?
Street lights are out, yeah. So it's really dark in that area where you're going into Ethan's Green construction.
Probably construction, or just report those to Edison, they can investigate those.
All right, or I'll talk to Dennis and see if he knows anything about it.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
Chief Noga, you want to come up? So, and while he's walking up, I just want to say that regarding our deer hunting program, we had been prohibiting any kind of hunting on Post Road due to the fact that it does back up to residential area. And after the incident, we used to have our dog warden manage that, but when Jack passed away, it kind of went in-house to the police because we really don't formally have another dog warden here in the city. And police has been helping manage it, but Chief and I had a conversation that we will be looking at that that program and hopefully updating it and making it more applicable to today. So just to let you know that.
Agreed. I just want to let you know that, you know, I did reach out and tell you that I made the commitment to review the program when the season's done, and we will do that. You know, the program's been in place for a long, long time, and it's actually a template program for a lot of other communities as well. If you remember back years ago with Solon, they had the big controversy when they brought in white buffalo, and they were actually sharpshooting all over the city. And this program was put into place to kind of alleviate the bad publicity, but also address the issues. This and other things. Not only the bull hunting, but we also have the ordinance on the books, 50508, which prohibits anyone from feeding wildlife, feeding deer, you know, geese, anything like that because of issues. So there are other things in place to help manage the deer population. Have an officer that started working on it this week. You have a copy of Solon's deer management plan that I've paged through. I don't know if they've actually implemented any of these things, but several of the suggestions are the same things that we had proposed. They do look like they have a little more housekeeping as far as records management and things like that, and we will certainly look to incorporate some of those things as well. But I don't think it's fair to change the program in mid-season. I think we have less than a month left on the program, or just over a month until it's done. And we average, I think, about maybe 24 deers that are harvested by the hunters every year. So, and as far as we know, we've never had any accident involving hunter. So again, yes, it definitely needs to be looked at. We will take the lead on reviewing the program, making sure that these things are still applicable to what the program is intended to do.
I know we don't want to do anything mid-season, but if they're in I mean, it sounds like there's children walking through those woods.
No,
there.
no one's hunting over there. That was an oversight on my part. You know, I had agreed years ago to Mrs. Toback's neighbor that those concerns were valid, that we would prohibit hunting. That's when Jack was still alive.
That's right. We had this discussion
We
before.
did.
Yeah.
And Jack passed away, and unfortunately that fell through the cracks. And Jack knew, I knew, the neighbor knew, but unfortunately, and I take responsibility for it, I didn't pass that on to Detective Donato, who's managing the program. And I think this is the first year somebody actually applied to work on Post Road, met the requirements, so he went, okay, I'm going to issue the permit. As soon as we heard, or I heard, that's when I said, no, we've got this agreement, you wouldn't have known better. We pulled the permits from there, and you know, my intention is definitely then to put into the program that's something that would disallow that area to be hunted based on the fact that it is residential and there's the concerns there. So we'll address the Post Road issue specifically, as well as some of the other issues as well. So I'll go on with my usual report then. During the month of December, the City of Twinsburg Communications Center generated 2,351 calls for service among the Twinsburg Police and Fire Departments and the Reminderville Police and Fire Departments. The total call count for 2018 was 32,451 calls, which is the highest call volume we've had ever. Twinsburg police officers arrested and or cited 125 suspects into court on 168 different counts. Officers issued 211 written warnings and 18 parking citations. Officers investigated 47 traffic crashes, of which 5 were injury crashes, 17 were on private property, and none were fatal. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks.
Good evening.
Good Good evening.
The fire department responded to 257 calls for service in December. That brought us to a total of 2,837 for the year. That is actually down 79 calls from the previous year. But if you take into account 45 or so calls last year were on account of the windstorm, that puts us down maybe 29 or 30 calls from the previous year. Just to put that into context, we're 278 calls more than we ran in 2016. And on average, over the last 5 years, the increase is about 120 calls a year. So we're kind of on that same trend at this point. Fire prevention completed 75 inspections and also worked on 3 fire investigations. We had 17 hours of public education, which contacted 450 people. And we also completed 81 training sessions, totaling about 300 hours of training. Several points of interest. The weather warning siren system was tested on the 5th, and they were all functioning properly except for the one at
Bavaria.
No.
We
The one at
took a bet on
Post
that.
Road near Canton. The siren sounded, but the indicator light did not come on, which probably just means a burnout light bulb. Service department's going to check that. We also want to mention that we have a former member pass away, Bill Galbraith. Served the department from 1963 through 1985, rising to the rank of lieutenant. He passed away on December 20th, and the fire department is pleased to be hosting a memorial service for him on Friday. And just want to express our condolences to the family, and certainly thank the family and honor Bill's service to the city and the department. And also, 2019 marks the 100th anniversary of the fire department. So we do have some plans in the works to have a commemorative events and maybe some commemorative items available later in the year. And we'll bring you more information as we get it pulled together. And that's my report for this evening.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Larry?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Earlier tonight, I did a presentation on downtown redevelopment districts. It's a relatively new tool to help with historic preservation and economic development. If anybody has any further questions about the program, if they'd like to receive a copy of the House bill that created it, I'd be happy to provide that. If any of the public wishes any additional information, you can call me at my office. We're currently working on submitting information to a publication called Business View Magazine for the city of Twinsburg. Twinsburg will be featured in a featured article on sustainable communities. Should be a very nice publication, full color spread that we can use for other purposes after it actually is published. So I'm looking forward to getting that done. The department will be putting together our annual incentive reporting letters that will go out to all the companies that receive tax incentives. This is the period during which, between now and the end of March, during which we ask everybody to report on their progress, see how they're doing on their commitments to the city, and then we'll be coming back to the council with recommendations on either continuing the agreements, modifying them, or terminating them. And that will occur after the Tax Incentive Review Council meeting, which will be the 3rd week in March. Then they will make recommendations to the council for your action. The Twinsburg Community Improvement Corporation is going to meet on the 15th. Tuesday the 15th at 5:30 in the jury room. We are currently, planning's currently working on small cell tower regulations, which will include some design guidelines. We only have a limited amount of authority in dealing with small cell towers. So we're putting together what we can in terms of regulations to deal with them. We'll be able to establish a basic fee for reviews of applications. We'll also be able to put some minimum design guidelines, and that'll be coming to Planning Commission. It's ready to go to Planning Commission in February. We'll be coming to you immediately after Planning Commission's review. And I'll be participating in a economic development panel discussion at Tri-C Corporate College on the 17th with Team NEO and the Ohio Economic Development Association. And that's my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Now, Sarah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Interest earnings for 2018 ended up just above $214,000. That's a $30,000 increase over 2017, so about 17% higher. Income tax revenues for 18 came in at $22.8 million compared to $22.3 for 17, so that's an increase of about $500,000. We ended up about 2.31%. And right now in finance, we're working on the 2018 year-end accounting close and all the year-end reporting for payroll. We hope to have all that ready to go for the Finance Committee meeting on the 22nd so that we can compare 2018 spending to the 2019 temporary budget. That's all I have for tonight.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Next is the legislation.
Ordinance 122-2018, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of $7,250,000 of notes in anticipation of issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying costs of constructing, furnishing, and equipping a new clubhouse at the city's Glen Eagles Golf Club, including related storage, lighting, and drainage facilities, and clearing, improving, and equipping the site. And that stands on its second reading. Ordinance 124-2018, an ordinance declaring that municipal property is no longer needed and authorizing the mayor to enter into a purchase agreement transferring ownership of the Chamber House to the Twinsburg Historical Society under certain conditions. And that also stands on its second reading.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the 2019 City of Twinsburg bid list.
I'll second.
Mr. Furey seconds. Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Bard?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
I have a question before I vote. Did we see that bid
Did we
list?
see the bid list?
Did you guys see that?
I got it today, set on right in front of me in the request.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I
It's
I'll tell you
everything
what.
we approved with capital.
If you can read.
I'd like to
If
see
you
it.
make the motion, you read down the list.
Okay, let me read the list, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
And then-
Okay. Projects over 50,000 advertised for public bid or state bid, a 1-ton truck for the service department, a new fire engine, 800 megahertz radio system, which I assume is for the PDs.
Yes.
Okay. The Liberty Park baseball field, 2019 citywide tree planting program, our 2019 road improvements program, the 2019 striping program, 2019 sidewalk improvements, our Chamberlain Road resurfacing Highland to State Route 82. Projects 25 to 50,000 require quotes and council confirmation. That would be 2 mowers for the service department. The ones on the side of the tractors, is that, do you know if that's what they're, I think that's probably.
Those are the, yeah, I think the hillside.
They're not the drag behind them, the arm off the side. The 4-wheel drive pickup with plow, power unit, snow blower, and mower. I'm assuming that also is for one of our tractors. Next one is repairs to the community center roof. Next one is resurface asphalt, concrete at community center, community/senior center. And the last one would be fitness center equipment. I apologize that I didn't read this to you.
That's okay. I didn't know if maybe we got it and I didn't see it, because that's why I asked Greg. I said, have you seen this? Because I missed it if it came out.
In case you need them.
No, I don't need glasses.
They're all the items that were.
We talked,
everything.
I get
capital.
it, but when we talked about capital
Right.
was how long ago? I don't have that kind of a memory. But
So
just
I
one quick
apologize.
question about
You look
that.
good for your age, though. I thought you did.
On the road program, is there a dollar amount attached to that? And do we know
There
what the
is
road
now.
program is?
No, they're just going to
No,
bid,
just
so everything comes
2019
back
road
anyway.
improvements. Going out to bid.
Yeah, but she's got to have a dollar. I mean, she's
It's
just
like
not.
1.2 million was allocated for our road program this
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
I believe it's
Yeah.
$1.2 million was allocated for our road program this year.
No, but we don't know what that was going toward.
I have it was in the capital reviewed and it's in the
I know,
long
but
version.
yeah, that's what, I don't remember. The capital review was a long time ago.
I'm just saying, I can't give you the half a dozen streets either, but it was, I think we were at $1.2 million on the road program.
Well, if we can't, Shannon,
Yeah,
could
it
you
was-
send me
it
all
was
that
down from last
information,
year.
please?
Pardon me?
It was down from last year, but
I mean, I'll vote on it, but you know what, I'd like to see all that,
Sure.
if you would.
I
Thank
don't believe
you.
we saw the list of roads, the actual.
We may
sites.
have, but I
if
just
we
don't have it.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
don't remember seeing that, but I do remember the amount. I don't remember the specific roads. Sorry.
Is there any, could we hold off till the next meeting to do this? Is it necessary that we do this now and council could get all the information? when we
There
get
are
there?
some that need to go now. I believe the road program may be one of those.
When you get the bids, they all come back for our approval anyway.
Yeah, nothing,
Right.
you guys will all have the,
Right.
well,
Right.
everything will have.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I
Okay.
just wanted to know what we were approving, you know, what was on the bid list.
I apologize.
Okay, no
I
problem.
just sent it
Thank
to you
you.
guys too, so you.
All right, where were we at?
Continue.
So, Mr. Scaffide.
Yes.
And Ms. McPherson.
Yes, now that I know what that is. I know.
Okay, so the motion carries 7-0.
Mhm.
Really is
Okay.
1.2 million.
Great.
Good job.
Okay, next is unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Barr,
I have nothing this evening, sir, thank you.
Mr. Bellin.
A couple things real quick. I have had a couple questions about the yellow train
Delineators.
The delineators there. Who's responsible for those? Several of them are down. What needs to be done to fix them?
He repairs them.
Right.
yeah, our service department does take care of those.
Okay.
They do take a significant amount of labor, time, and effort to replace them. So if they usually wait till a few go down before they
Okay.
have to mobilize over there and do it. It's a constant battle
Okay.
with those things.
We ought
As
to
big
put a
and
camera
bulky
by
as
the
they are,
cement
people love to
company
run them
'cause they
over.
take out the whole row. There's
Right.
not a single one
There's-
next to Tri-Counties.
Yeah, there's not one down there, and I think there's one standing down at Glenwood.
They just constantly run them over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's, some of them, I think they just cut off. I mean, if you notice,
Yeah.
there's a couple of them that are just missing because it does take a lot of time, and, I mean, they've got it's a crew of several guys that have to stop traffic and do the things they need to do.
So is
it
the
our
answer,
responsibility.
they're not, and that's fine, but is the answer they're not gonna be fixed until spring? I mean, is that the?
No, I wouldn't say they're not gonna be fixed till spring.
Okay.
So is there certain ones you're?
Well, the one outside the concrete thing on 91, and then the one at the bottom of the hill on Glenwood. I
will
mean,
take a
they're
look, and I'll
almost
talk to
all missing.
Chris. It is, because I have asked about them before too.
Okay.
And, you know, we've got a number of them now because of our quiet zone, but I'll go look at the ones you're talking about.
Okay.
Every single one on the concrete side is out, and if we replaced all of them in 3 days, 5 of them would be done, because they cut that corner and they just run them over.
Maybe you ought to put concrete delineators there. See what happens.
I was right behind them, I've seen it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And they have those extender things on the back for the weight, distribute the weight.
Mhm.
Those are out. It's a much longer truck, so.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the only other thing I had for this evening is I received an email from Mr. Meyer, a resident. He sent an email with some concerns both to the Safety Committee Council reps and as well as myself. I wanted to thank Amy Moore. She responded to a couple of those issues. And I know, Mr. Barr, thank you for responding to the resident as well. I would hope that the ones that weren't responded to, maybe we could get those on a future Safety Committee meeting. I would appreciate it.
And I did have the opportunity to speak with Chief Nova tonight. He's looking into a few things, and I'll provide you some
Awesome.
information.
Thank you very much. Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Mrs. Stoff.
I just like to wish everybody a Happy New Year. And I wanted to also thank the residents for their patience with the leaves. I know over in Ward 4 there were piles higher than me, and I was amazed at how clean everyone's yards were. And I know it took a while to get them up, but I want to thank everyone for being patient. I know the service workers are fantastic, and they were working around the clock to get it done. So that's all I have for tonight.
Mr. Scaffide.
Thank you. I just had one thing to add tonight, and I don't want to overstep my bounds of Mr. Maestros, but the sober house opinion, from what I understand, that just was received today by the law director, and so there will be forthcoming some information. He hasn't even had a chance to review it yet and to even talk to council about it yet, so but that will be coming up. I just wanted to get that out there. That's all. Thank you.
Ms. McFerrin.
I wanted to mention that the Friends of the Twinsburg Parks will be meeting on January 21st at 7:30. That's a Monday night at rush hour, and that's open to the public. And please mention that to people and come out and attend. And also just wish everybody a happy 2019.
Mr. Steele.
Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Okay, I have one thing. Earlier today, I had a conversation with Mr. Maestros. I got an email from a resident out here on Ravenna Road about the construction noise and dirt and dust coming from over here at Arbor Glen in the new building. And one of the things that I talked to Mr. Maestros about was the fact that that day that they started at 4 o'clock in the morning pouring concrete, and my opinion is that they broke our law. We can't have construction noise at that time in the morning, and I asked Mr. Maestros if we could look at taking some sort of enforcement action with the contractor or whoever was in charge over there, and enforce our law. That being said, I have nothing else to bring forward at the moment, so next thing on the agenda is we're going to, I'd like to make a motion that we go into an executive session to discuss personnel and pending legal matters. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Shannon, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scaffidi?
Yes.
Mr. Furey?
Yes.
I have a question. Do we have to excuse? We don't have to excuse anybody because no one's here.
That's right, we're all here.
We're all here. All right.
Gang's all here.
You want to make sure the glasses.
Gag like that.
Okay, this time we're going to go into executive session. We will return and we will report about the executive session.